what Jolene's just said? What difference do you think that would make?
For one, it's just nice to talk, and we don't really talk, so the door of communication is opening. So.
When Donald says that he wants to communicate more, let you know if he has a really busy day and he won't be able to clean, and he knows that you might not be happy about that, but he's going to try to get to it later, you know, just like what he said. How do you respond to that? How do you feel about that?
I feel that I need to be more respectful of him and have better communication, because communication is very important in a relationship, and especially with your brother. You want to have a good relationship with them because you love them and you don't want that to go bad. So.
And keeping those things in mind that you guys have both just said, how will being mindful of those things respectively move you towards your goal? How do you perceive that?
I think that if we're both happier, I think it'll make us have a positive attitude to do the goal, in order to no longer have the stress between us, have the better communication, you know, organize our lives so that, you know, we have our priorities in the way that they should be, and not have any more tension. The tension would be released, and that way everybody would be happier.
Sounds good. Sounds like you guys are on your way. We're going to take a break here in just a second, so that I can go over all these notes and come back with some feedback for you. But I just want to ask you one last question. You guys have each identified how you would like to keep moving towards this goal, and you know, your feelings, your thoughts, you've talked about all of that and how that applies to your goal. What do you think others are going to notice about the change that you guys are trying to make? How do you think others will know that you're keeping this going, moving towards your goal?
Well, I think they'll see it in our attitudes towards one another. If we don't have that stress or tension between us, then we'll do more things together, and people will see that we're together and be like, oh, you know, they love each other, and they have that love that you should have.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to take a quick break. If you want to help yourself to some snacks or something, that would be fine. I'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes, okay? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I have some things to talk with you about. I went back and I discussed what we've gone over with another one of our therapists, and we formulated some feedback for you. I'd first like to start out by encouraging you guys. Like I mentioned a couple of different times, I'm really impressed with the way you guys have been able to come up with these goals. Your goal is very well defined before you got here. You guys both kind of knew what the issue was and what you wanted to see change. So that's very clear. You guys want to move from having two separate ideals of cleanliness for your home to having something that's more kind of down the middle. I just noticed that you guys are supportive of the other person's point of view. And that's something that's really important. A lot of times families will come in and say, this is my view, this is what's right, but they don't really consider what the other person is thinking or feeling about the issue. And I'm really excited that you guys have been able to do that. Also, again, I have found that a lot of people do struggle over this issue of just lifestyle, cleanliness, different habits, and within families, that's something that's fairly common. So I just want to encourage you. This is a problem for a lot of people, and I'm really glad that you guys have come to therapy to try to work out your differences a little bit and move towards a more positive model for your home. I think it's good that you guys are communicating with each other. I think you did really well in the exercise where you shared your goals with the other person and you reflected what you each heard. And I believe that that will help you if you can keep doing things like that. I saw a lot of positive information come after that in our session. And I think that if you're able to do that at home and replicate that, that should really help you. So I'd like you to try to do that more often. Maybe once a week as you're eating breakfast together, or maybe if you drive to school together. I don't know if you do that. Just a time when you're together to sit down and say, this is what I want for this issue, this is where I feel that I'm at, and this is how I'm going to try to work on it this week. Something like that, to really share your goals and thoughts with each other on it. Do you think that you would be able to do something like that over the next week or so?
Yeah, I think the reflection would be really good to see where we're at and how we're feeling, and you know what progress we see, and what we can give them each other positive reflections.
What do you think about that, Donald?
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. It's all about the communication. And so our communication improves, our relationship will improve.
Sounds wonderful. I'm really glad to hear you guys say that. Something that I want to highlight and encourage you guys on, again, you're mindful of your differences. You do communicate already. I can just kind of tell that you talk about this a lot. Now, I don't know if you're always happy when you're talking about it, but it's something that's easy for you to talk about because it's a common issue. So keep on communicating. I think that's good. I also noticed that you guys were respectful of each other, but that you also mentioned that you wanted to keep being respectful, or maybe even have more respect for the other person. And I really want to encourage you in that area. That's very positive. And also, I think that even when you don't agree on things, that you still want to have an understanding. I kind of got that vibe as you were talking, that you want to understand each other. You want to be patient and kind of give that person leeway to be different, but still kind of find a common goal that you're both happy with. So those are very positive things. I think the exercise where you shared, I know I just mentioned this, but I just want to highlight a different aspect of it, where you shared your thoughts with the other person and reflected what you each thought. Those were probably things that you already knew, but you may not have just voiced out to each other before. And as you keep doing that, I think that it will affect your behavior towards reaching the goal. It's not just talking about it, it's not just words. I really see that as being a key element, because communication is a theme for you, respect is a theme, building shared meaning and understanding is a theme, and as you keep doing that, I see you progressing in a positive direction. Let me see, what other feedback do I have for you? It's normal to disagree and fight when you guys have lifestyle differences. When you are more, I know you described it as OCD, but I don't want to label you, so I'm just going to say, if you have a very high standard of things being neat and tidy, and you are more lenient with it, it's normal that that would cause emotional conflict and relationship conflict, even though clothes being all over the floor is an external thing, that would affect you guys' personal relationship with the other person, not just, oh, I disagree with those clothes on the floor. So it is an issue that's important and that you should keep working on. But keep in mind that you're both in school, you mentioned, and also your brother and sister, and you're bound to have certain differences in your life. And while it's important to work on those differences,